There's one thing a lot of people don't understand about the difference between criminal cases and civil cases in Mississippi, and it's not what you think. Yes, of course, with a civil case in Mississippi, no one's going to jail. At the end of criminal cases, that's a possibility. At the end of a civil case, someone is just made to pay money. But that's not the difference I'm talking about. The difference I'm talking about is how those cases can be dismissed. It's really who owns the charges. You see, in a civil case, it's a person or an entity, like a business, against another person or entity, like a business. All right? That's a civil case. In those cases, the plaintiff, the person who actually files the complaint, who brings the lawsuit, they are the ones that own that claim. They can dismiss it whenever they want, generally. If there's been a counterclaim filed, sometimes they can't dismiss it without special leave from the court. But that said, generally it's up to the plaintiff, the person who brought the claim, to dismiss a civil case. But that's not the way it works in a criminal case. In a criminal case, the plaintiff is the state of Mississippi, not the victim. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. What happens when a case is dismissed in a criminal context, that is the state of Mississippi asking the court for permission to dismiss or null pros. That's what you'll hear a lot of times, the case. All right. Sometimes we hear remand. That's effectively a dismissal, and that's a topic for another time. But ultimately, the victim does not get to control how criminal cases are prosecuted. You see, if you look closely at charging documents in criminal cases, they will say things like, against the peace and dignity of the state of Mississippi. And that's because in a criminal case, a statute has been violated. Okay, sometimes it's an ordinance, a city ordinance, but usually it is a state statute. And it is the peace and dignity of the state of Mississippi that has been offended. Okay. It is the fabric of our society to a degree, right? That has been allegedly offended by what the person did. And therefore, it's not the victim who gets to make the decision about whether or not to dismiss that claim. It is the state itself that has been the victim of the crime. Okay. And so they are the ones that get to make the decision as to whether or not the case is dismissed. And that goes all the way from just a simple assault, in city court or in justice court, all the way through a capital murder.
Want to know more? Like and subscribe to our Eichelberger Law Firm channel to check out more videos on this and other important legal topics.